everybody doing? And thank you for allowing me to invite me to be a part of this chat. First thing, hopefully my internet, because it keeps going in and out on me, but hopefully it'll sustain. But the first name is Dylan. I know everybody makes that. Coach. That's all right, Coach. Everybody been doing that for like 50 years, so I'm used to it. But I'm getting ready to start my third year overall as the head coach at Alabama A&M. Fourth year overall, came in as the associate head coach. One of the things that I had to do once I got the head coaching job is kind of like some other coaches already talked about. You got to change the culture. One of the things about Alabama A&M, it's been a struggle as far as being consistent, as far as on the winning side, getting those W's. So we're building this thing from scratch. So this past year was a huge recruiting class. Just a shout out and thank you to, I've got a great staff, and I'm sure a lot of you know my staff, as far as a lot of them right there in Atlanta: Derek Tillman, Antoine Banks, Carl Richburg, and our director of operations, Pat Richardson. So I have a great staff. They do a great job of locating players all over the nation. But one thing we had to do, we just had to rebuild this thing. So this past year, I'm willing to bet we ended up being the youngest starting five in the nation, because we started all freshmen. In this past class, we signed 7 freshmen. And this upcoming class is still going to be a young class. It's just the way we want to start from scratch, and we want to develop young men and keep building. What we look for in our program is guys with high character, guys that want to compete every day, guys that want to compete on and off the court. We're going to hold our players accountable as far as those academics, and we got to find guys that just love the game of basketball. We always tell our players, we shouldn't have to tell you to get up extra shots or go get some extra ball handling in. You got to do that on your own in order. That's what we're trying to build. We're trying to change the culture and build a program.
Coach, obviously you guys have recruited some high school guys, especially here from Georgia. How big is that for you to get the right guys to come into your program?
I mean, it's huge, because after every year, you got to do a self-evaluation on your whole program. And one of the things that as a head coach and our coaching staff, after the season, we knew we had to get better in every position, as far as guys that can absolutely shoot the ball. We were one of the worst shooting teams in the SWAC, and the name of the game is putting the ball in the hole. So we knew we had to bring in guys that can shoot it. We've had some great success getting over there in Atlanta. London Riley, big time shooter. So we know we've got a gem. I think we've got a steal on that young man. Javon Tatum, another steal. And we're glad other schools slept on those two. Then we go down to Florida. We bounce down to Florida. Got a young man who can just flat out shoot the ball. Eric Hill from the Tampa area. So we're going to continue to build this thing. We got a big 7-footer out of Hargrave Military Prep School. So, we know we're heading in the right direction with this class.
What's the biggest hurdle that you faced when building the culture of your program?
I think the biggest hurdle for us is we're a solid academic school. I mean, we're known for engineering, we're known for business. So a lot of times, the biggest hurdle, let's say, for instance, there's sometimes we can't get in a 2-year transfer. It's just tough. So that's why we had to go in the direction that we're going right now. And then also one of the biggest hurdles is when you're trying to change your culture, it takes time to build a program. So, sometimes when you're recruiting a certain young man, I've had several recruits tell me, well, Coach, I want to go to a program that's already winning. And I said, well, we're heading in that direction. So, that's probably 2 of the biggest hurdles we've encountered so far.
Coach, how have you changed the APR issues that you guys have had? What has been the biggest things that you've done?
Well, it's so misleading, and this is something I know as part of the NABC, we're going to have to, I hate that, with the COVID-19, we didn't get a chance to sit down and discuss some things at the Final Four as far as our head coaches meeting. But, it's just some things that I think nationally has got to change at the NCAA office. We're graduating our players. Our team GPA is pretty solid. One of the things that I think hurts a lot of schools is just some of the standards, and I think those will still have to be addressed. One of the big things is, if a young man transfers usually from a HBCU, he might look to go JUCO in order to bounce back up to get maybe a mid-major D1 offer. Well, the NCAA says, okay, if even though you might have a 2.5, 2.6 GPA, if you decide to leave D1 and go JUCO, you got to have a 3.3 GPA, and so that kills your APR there. You've got over 950 kids in the transfer portal, and it's just a different day now. Kids are, they're looking to bounce, and it's unfortunate. But you still got some of the old standards as far as APR, and that's one of those things where we're constantly working with our kids to make sure they're doing their job academically.
Coach, how does that impact you when you're recruiting? When you have kids that may have transferred at the high school level, does that hurt you from recruiting them?
Sometimes it does, but it's still part of that building that relationship. You got to really dig down and see if he's had a couple transfers in high school. You got to find out what are some of the reasons why. It could be a red flag, but you really got to be careful and do your due diligence and your homework when you're recruiting these young men. And then, like I said, even when they get to you, it's all about constantly building that relationship, and you just don't know. I mean, like I said, it's over 950 kids in that transfer portal. And now they're talking about opening it up next year where you can transfer without sitting out. So it's going to make a head coach's job that much tougher.
Let's talk about your environment. I know about it. I've been there. They're right. Your fans are right on top of you. How does that help you guys when you play at home?
It's one of the best home court environments, not only in the SWAC, but probably at any historical black college. And I'm going to give you a perfect example. So our non-conference schedule, we were able to get 3 of the Alabama schools to come to us, North Alabama, Troy, and Jacksonville State. We ended up winning all 3 of those games. And it was because of that atmosphere that they weren't used to that type of atmosphere coming in there. So it's an exciting atmosphere. And then once you get into the SWAC season, you got your Texas Southern, your Jackson States, your Gramblings. Once they come in there, I mean, it just excites our fan base and our student body. So and it's always been that way at Alabama A&M, because previous to this, back in the late 2007, 2008, 2009, I was at Mississippi Valley State with Sean Woods. And me and Coach Woods always used to say this is one of the toughest environments to play.
Facts. Being that you have such a young team, how do you and your coaching staff, how do you use every opportunity as a way to teach and grow your young men?
Well, it's unfortunate, what has happened as far as across the world with this pandemic, because I was really looking forward. This spring was going to be huge, and this summer would have been huge to work with our young men actually being on the court. So right now, we're just trying to keep them engaged by doing our Zoom meetings with them, sending them different stuff as far as how to better their game. But come fall, if everything works out and we're back on campus, we're big on individual workouts. And that's throughout the whole season. Every single practice for 20 minutes before we start practice is individual skill work. Bigs on one end, guards on one end, and then probably another 10 minutes where we have the guards and bigs together working on pick and roll stuff. So, we're big on individual workouts.
What are some of the team bonding activities that you have planned or have used in the past to build team chemistry off the court?
I think some of the things that we end up doing. We were on the road this year, and we just had to sit down and just had a long talk with the players, and we tried to get deep into their soul, just asking them life questions as far as any tragedies. You want to talk about any tragedies in your life? Who's real close with you? Who helps you make these big personal decisions? So, and those conversations got real deep as they shared their innermost feelings with one another, as far as the players and also the coaches. We have a very close-knit team also, on their own. They'll get together, and obviously the big thing with players is doing those video games. Sometimes we got to cut. Hey, man, you got to get some rest, man. You got to get ready for the next morning. But they're big on that. They're big on going out to dinner with one another. So those are, and obviously, I think one of the things we really do stress is that it is a family at Alabama A&M, and we stress that from day one, that everyone's got to have each other's back.
Well, Coach, we appreciate your time. We thank you for joining us. We wish you and those youngsters a great season next year.
Yeah.
Obviously, we'll be looking forward to watching you. You got some Georgia guys, so we'll be looking forward to watching you. Thank you again, Coach.
Thank you. We'll be exciting now.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
Take care.